I'd like to call to order the regular governing board meeting of the Jefferson Elementary School District for November 13th, 2019. May I please get members present?
Shaquille Ali.
Here.
Marie Brizuela is absent. Maybelle Monio.
Here.
Manufo Leah Inga Anawai is absent. And Clayton Koo.
Here. Next is the Pledge of Allegiance led by Daly City host Lions Club 2019 Peace Poster Contest winners.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, thank you. Next is item 4, governance team meeting guidelines. Governance team members will review the governance team meeting guidelines. Next is the approval of the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda.
Second.
First and second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next is 6A, special presentations. Daly City hosts Lions Club 2019 Peace Poster Contest winners. The Daly City host Lions Club will present the year's poster contest award winners. Students from various Daly City middle schools in grades 6 to 8 enter this contest. Good evening.
Thank you very much for allowing us the opportunity to present this to the children of Daly City, Colma, and Broadmoor. And as far as I know, this is the 18th year I've been involved. So we appreciate the support of the school board. This year, our theme was Journey of Peace. And we received not quite as many posters this year as we've received in the past. We only got about 300. So we're hoping that next year we'll be back up somewhere in the 5s like we've been in the past. So the schools that participated this year were Ben Franklin, Holy Angels, Fernando Rivera, and for the first time, Franklin Roosevelt. So we're very, very pleased to have them in the loop this time. So to keep the kids from getting too anxious, we'll go ahead and get started, please. First of all, we'd like to present our third place winner from Ben Franklin School, Cairo Gomes. And here's your certificate. Thank you. Okay, have a seat. Our second place winner, I don't know if she's here yet or not, Ariana Zavala? I guess not. So we'll get her stuff to her. And our first place winner is Monel Amy Pudukai. Did I pronounce that correctly? Pudukai. Okay. Come on. So our winners this year are getting a $50 Target gift card. Our second place winners are getting a $25 Target gift card. Next, from Holy Angels, our third place winner is Carl Serrano. Our second place winner is Jameson Makawile. Okay, all right. And here's your, thank you very much. And our first place winner for the second year in a row, Jaden Aguilar. We also have a certificate to present to the school for their participation. We didn't do Ben Franklin's because I don't know if anybody's here. Oh, you are? Okay. Here, Kim. Thank you. Okay, from Fernando Rivera, we have Seo Kawashiyama. Okay. I'm sorry. Thank you very much. Our second place winner is Sophia Moreno. And our first place winner is not here this evening. He's out of the country, and that's Caleb Sumatra. So we will get his stuff to him also. From Franklin D. Roosevelt School, our participant is our first place winner, and that's Michael. Are you here? Michael is a trailblazer. He's our first one. So thank you very much. And I believe Mr. Higgins is here we can give him a certificate. Again, we want to thank you guys for the opportunities that you've given, not only for the Peace Poster Contest, but this year we did vision screening on about 3,500 of your students, and we are very, very proud to work with your school nurses to accomplish that goal as quickly as we were able to get it done this year. So thank you again for all the opportunities that you give us.
Thank you. Any comments from board members?
I'm so glad you guys are all here today and celebrating this honorary feat with us. I think that I got a chance to see some of the artwork, and I think that it was very great and wonderful, and it's such a good theme to be creative about. I just want to, commend all of you and congratulate all of you, and thank you for being here and sharing that with us.
It's always a pleasure to have the Daly City Host Lions Club do this presentation and offer this wonderful opportunity to the students. I'm so glad to see the students here. I wish I could see the actual art, though. Is there any way? Is there any way? I didn't see it, no. I agree with Ms. Manio that that's a wonderful theme, Journey of Peace, and hopefully the students were able to internalize that, and I hope that we will actually realize the visions that they created. Okay, saw a little bit of it. I mean, look at that. So thank you to the artists, and thanks to the Lions Club, and also thanks to the nurses, that, as you mentioned, to get all those vision screenings done. And that includes giving them glasses, right, if they need it. Okay, so we definitely thank you for that. And thanks for all the parents who came out tonight. And thanks to our neighbors, too, from the other schools that aren't, a part of our district, but you participated as well. So thank you.
I just want to echo everybody else. Just want to extend our congratulations to all of the participants and the winners. I think especially for this theme of Journey of Peace, I think especially more than ever, that kind of theme and that kind of topic is probably more relevant than ever, just because globally and even just nationally, there's so much conflict around the world. I think any way that we can actually pursue a path towards peace in general, what's probably great for all of us. And I just also want to thank the Lions Club for hosting this poster contest every year as well, too. Additionally, we have a couple certificates for the winners we just want to give out. Where do you go first?
Since they say Sugar is dead, I'm bringing back the line.
present two certificates, certificate of appreciation for participation in the flag ceremony and certificate of recognition for your work as a first place winner, Jaden Aguilar.
Flag ceremony,
I also want to
first place.
present a certificate of appreciation for the participation in the flag ceremony and certificate of recognition for second place winner, Jameson Aguilar. And another certificate of appreciation for flag ceremony and certificate of recognition for third place winner, Paul Serrano.
For participation in the flag ceremony and for third place winner in the Peace Poster Contest, Cairo Gomes. Or is it Gomes? Congratulations. So also for participation in the flag ceremony and first place winner in the Peace Poster Contest, Michael Anthony Oliveros. And for participation in the flag ceremony and first place winner in the Peace Poster Contest, Lorel Pudukak.
So I have two certificates. The first one is for participation in the flag ceremony and third place winner at Fernando Vera, Kaya Kawashima. And then I have another one for participation in the flag ceremony and second place in Fernando, Sophia Moreno. And then we also have Ariana Zavala, second place winner, Ben Franklin is here tonight. Thank you. So let's please give them a round of applause again. And I was gonna say, feel free to step out for a moment. It's about to leave if you guys have to head out right now. So don't worry, it won't offend us at all. Cool. So it sounds like I'll keep going. Next item is item 6B, Summer Learning in JESD 2019. Jennifer LaRock and Colleen Miller, Summer Learning Programs Administrators, will share about 2019 summer offerings, Inspiring Summers BLIS, Extended School Year, ESY, Stanford UCubed, and YMCA Power Scholars Program.
Good evening, board, families, community, colleagues. Many of you are here. My name is Colleen Miller. I'm one of the special education program coordinators, and this is my second year as principal for the extended school year. And I'd like to report we had almost 100% staff return rate this year. And some of the changes, let me just go, changes for this summer, we're having a summer presentation in November, but this is great. We had an increase in our program this year, actually. We added a middle school and a preschool class, so we went from 50 to 70 students participating in our program. And this year, we added, with parent permission for the students, a registered animal therapy days, which was amazing, and you'll get to see the participation with that. And we also had a carnival day where our staff, students, and families volunteered to run different booths that our students and their teachers actually created on their own.
Great.
So you'll get to see some of that. And that went along with our theme in our curriculum for the summer, which was Amusement Park. And so we did a lot of different activities in the classroom around that theme, including some virtual reality learning that our students participated in, that our speech and language pathologists helped us with. So you're going to get to see a little bit of this in action in our next video. Oh no. Sorry about that. Not going to be able to show it, unfortunately. And some of our students are here. Would have been great. I don't know if I can get that working in any way. On my phone, I could do that. Yep. See if I can get that going here. Not yet. Ah, here we go. Yep, almost there. Thanks for your patience, everyone. Okay, it should go now. Not able to get it? All right. That's okay. Yep. Okay. Sorry about that, everyone. If I can, yeah, it should have. So you would have been seeing our staff and students participating in a bunch, in number one, their carnival, but also in a bunch of their different learning activities. So you would have gotten to see some of the virtual reality activities they were doing, some of the cooking activities that they did, some of the science experiments that they participated in, as well as the dog therapy days. And so you would have gotten to see a lot of really happy, excited students and staff. And I'm really disappointed that we can't show it to you tonight. So sorry about that. All right. Questions?
Good evening. Perfect. Good evening. My name is Jennifer LaRock, and I'm an administrator at the district office. I'm so excited to be able to share with you the different summer experiences that we were able to offer our Jefferson students this summer. In total, we're close to 600 students attended a Jefferson hosted summer experience. We had 350 scholars attend Big Lift Inspiring Summers. We had 191 attend Power Scholars Academy, and 40 girls had the opportunity to experience dorm living at Stanford's U Cubed. Just under 600. So we just completed our 4th year of Inspiring Summers, and we're currently planning for our 5th year. Typically, when I report to you on the Big Lift, I like to highlight the success of our scholars from the program, and though I will share with you the exciting student progress, tonight I would also like to take a moment to speak on the growth of our summer staff and how Inspiring Summers is just as meaningful and rich to our staff and future changing for them as well. Big Lift Inspiring Summers, we had 350 scholars at 2 sites this year, and they hosted rising kinders through rising second graders. Big Lift Inspiring Summers is 98% funded by the Big Lift and 2% funded by parcel tax. We start every summer with a computer-based adaptive pre-test, and we close each summer with a similar post-assessment. We do this for several reasons. First and foremost, the results inform our teachers' lessons and drive their instruction. As you can imagine, not all first graders performed exactly the same way on the pre-test. So when our instructional coach and classroom teacher analyze the results from these assessments, they're able to individualize the student lessons and teacher instruction to support the students at their entry point and then build on their success. Another major reason for the pre and the post is to see if what we're doing is working. And since I have to deliver the news, I'm in luck because the program is working. As I've mentioned in previous presentations, students on average lose 2 months of learning over the summer. We call it the summer slide. Teachers spend the first 1 to 2 months in the fall reviewing the previous grade and catching all the students back up. Our goal in summer is to stop the slide and have the scholars remain neutral from when they leave us in June and return to us in August. Our assessment results show that on average, students in Inspiring Summers not only remained neutral on the slide, but they gained a half a month of reading instruction. They were able to walk in their respective classrooms in August, confident and eager to jump in where the New Year's curriculum begins. When we look a little deeper and we filter out the scholars who scored 40% or lower on their pre-assessment during the summertime, we found that those students, not only did they not go on the slide during the summer, but they gained 1.5 months of reading instruction. So if you take the 2-month summer slide into consideration, our most needy scholars gained 3.5 months of reading instruction. Definitely something to celebrate. If you look to the right, there's a few statistics from our surveys that we send out to our teachers and to our parents of Big Lift. I'm hoping it's going to work, but not quite yet. One of our main partners in Inspiring Summers is BELL. BELL stands for Building Educated Leaders for Life. They contribute to the framework of Inspiring Summers. And this summer, our JFK site participated in a BELL Jefferson documentary. We need to keep in mind that Inspiring Summers has many partners, including our county libraries. But tonight, I wanted to share with you the 3-minute documentary that highlights our partnership with BELL. I think it'll give you a glimpse into our program. Big Lift Inspiring Summers is an infusion of academics, enrichment, and social emotional learning all day, every day. The goal of Inspiring Summers is to lessen the achievement gap for our rising third graders in reading English language arts. Our reports from Bell Excel have not only shown that we have maintained our student academics from June, but we have grown 1, 2, and up to 3 months growth in reading and language arts.
The Bell Excel model is very flexible to meet the needs of all scholars. It really gives teachers that creative freedom to use the curriculum as a starting point and the core values as a starting point, but giving them the freedom to implement them any way that they choose in their cluster. Holding high expectations for teachers of this is the language that we use, this is the curriculum that we use, we know that you're professionals, we trust you, and we know that you know your scholars best, so how are you going to incorporate that?
Having certificated teachers is extremely rewarding because we are able to train them on summer protocols, summer curriculum, and that training will stick with them when they start their general year as well.
The Bell Excel model empowered me, especially in the area of managing stations during language arts and in universal access. And you can't help but to take great encouragement and pride in being one of those teachers, because you are helping the student fulfill their potential, but at the same time discover that yes, reading is fun and that summer is a great time for it.
Part of the Bell Excel program is the Computer Adaptive Assessment, and the results let us know exactly where the student needs to be taught from.
So what you see in one kindergarten cluster might not be the same as what you see in another kindergarten cluster. Knowing that these scholars need to practice, letter identification versus these ones already know letters and some words. So working in rotations in small groups to make sure that they have access to the same materials, but they are presented in a different, meaningful way.
They are getting instruction at their level that makes sense to them, it makes sense to me, and we're all happy.
They're also expanding their network of teachers, because here there's teachers from different schools across the school district. They're getting some ideas from the Bell Excel model, but then they're also bringing their own experience and sharing that with each other, and that makes all of them a lot stronger.
So the end of the summer report through Bell Excel is extremely important for the program. Teachers are very motivated by the results. They know that they built strong relationships with their scholars, and they want to see how they've improved academically according to this test.
It's invigorating, it's empowering, it's skill building, and it also reminds us of how fun it is to teach.
Bell Excel is the glue that holds Big Lift Inspiring Summers together. We have many different partners coming from all over the county, and Bell Excel is the constant that runs through the entire program, from their core values to their philosophy, from their culture of the program. It magnifies what is available for these children. As I mentioned earlier, I wanted to take a moment to highlight our Inspiring Summer staff. We have approximately 25 classroom teachers and 5 teachers in leadership roles each summer. Not only do these teachers not take a break with the rest of their colleagues, the day after their general school year gets out, they come into training with me for the summer program. I think it speaks to the standard of the program when the majority of our teachers have been with us for over 3 summers. And when polled in August if they plan to return next summer, all but 2 plan to return. As a teacher at Inspiring Summers, they receive additional professional development in curriculum, behavior management, staff culture, and they get to work in an environment with teachers from around the district that may not be at their home site during the regular school year. We've been fortunate enough to have an amazing team of dedicated teachers year after year. Our summer leadership team has been nothing less than professional, dedicated, and athletic. They have to run around campus a lot. As I thought about what characteristics I'd like to have for our summer 2020 leadership team, it made me reflect on the summer administrators in the last 4 years. Being an administrator in Inspiring Summers is intense. Inspiring Summers is not a packaged program that shows up on our doorstep and we open it the day before launch and we supervise it. Quite the contrary. Inspiring Summers has a ton of partners the leadership team needs to collaborate with. Our summer principals attend training, then they turn around and they train their staff. They build bell schedules, lunch schedules, break schedules, testing schedules. They plan opening day, closing day, building community culture amongst their staff, students, families, communities. They need to ensure safety protocols are in place, EpiPens have a home, emergency contacts are up to date, and of course, be in contact with teachers about curriculum, find the missing curriculum, and of course, put out the daily fires that ignite. I was a site principal for 10 years. And I can confidently say that Inspiring Summers principal is being a general year principal in hyperspeed. I've been so proud of the principals that have worked in Inspiring Summers. I truly believe that Inspiring Summers is as beneficial for our kids as it is for our staff. These 5 women, these 5 women were all teachers when they were hired as a summer school principal. Each one of them have grown their career, and I believe Inspiring Summers was a launch pad for them. And I think a lot of them are here today. Karen Hong, are you here, Karen? Karen Hong, she was a teacher, she's now an instructional coach and the interim principal at Westlake. Rachel Carrion was a teacher, Rachel, raise your hand, and is now the dean at Ben Franklin. Roxanne Hannon was a teacher and is now the dean at Susan B. Anthony. Kate Armstrong was a teacher and is now the dean at JFK, and Nuala Sullivan was a teacher and is now the principal at Garden Village. Inspiring Summers is a powerful collaboration affecting many lives. Power Scholars, the second experience that was offered to our students. Power Scholars, 191 scholars were served, rising 3rd through 8th grade. It was 78% funded through a grant that we got from the Silicon Valley Community Foundation and 22% funded by parcel tax. Power Scholars was held at TRP for its 2nd year, and it's a collaboration between the Jefferson School District and the SFYMCA. And this past summer, the program was led by Christina Sanchez and Sam Trent. The day is run very similarly to our Inspiring Summers program. Power Scholars participate in the same kind of assessment as Power Scholars participate, in the same assessment as Inspiring Summers. It's a computer-adapted pre-test and post-test. However, Power Scholars also focuses on ELA and math. On average, our Power Scholars ditched the summer slide and approved their reading by a half of a month of instruction. Those students who scored in the 40% or less margin on their pre-test gained an average of 3 months of reading instruction by the end of summer, according to their post-test. In math, our scholars gained an average of 2 months of instruction. All the administrators in the district have been asked to prepare a leadership plan based on the continuous improvement model. The question I asked for my leadership plan was, does the success a scholar achieves in summer school translate throughout the school year? I decided to take a little deeper look into the performance of our Power Scholars and compare them to like scholars that did not attend Power Scholars. All Jefferson students completed their first benchmark in ELA and math this past month, which we call FastBridge. And the results are displayed in 4 performance bands: high risk, some risk, low risk, and college pathway. And we looked at the results, and important to note that the majority of the Power School Academy scholars were invited because they performed some risk on their last spring assessment. So this slide here shows you of all of the students in third grade, who took the test in reading, 57% of them scored in that low-risk college pathway section, which is what we want. The Power Scholars third graders, 63% of them scored in the college pathway low risk. And you have to keep in mind that those students all came from the orange pathway. And in math, our third grade Power Scholars performed at 82% on the most recent FastBridge. So here it is in 4th grade, when you compare the two. Again, it's all 4th graders versus the 4th graders that attended Power Scholars Academy. And once again, keeping in mind, if you're looking at the reading, the 76% of them scored in that top 2 tiers. Last spring, they were all in the orange. In 5th grade, and then I speed it up and I do 6th, 7th, and 8th all together. So if you take a look at our 7th and 8th graders, 100% of our Power Scholars scored in the top 2 tiers of the performance band in reading. Here's a short video of Power Scholars. One more summer experience. We were busy this summer. So these lucky ladies were chosen from a pool of close to 100 applicants to attend a 2-week residency math camp titled U Cubed at Stanford University, led by Joe Bowler, the professor of mathematics at Stanford. The camp is for research purposes for the math department at Stanford. Students were hand-selected to ensure the pool of girls came from a diverse socioeconomic backgrounds, cultures, strengths, and weaknesses in math. All participants were girls entering 7th and 8th grade, and all 4 of our junior highs were represented. The girls attended classes in the morning, had extracurricular activities in the afternoon, ate meals in the cafeteria, and slept in campus dormitories. Families were invited on the weekend for a barbecue. Similar to Inspiring Summers and Power Scholars, Stanford conducted their own pre-assessment and just concluded their post-assessment this past week. And though we don't have the results from this to share for this evening, I was able to take a look at how the girls performed on our Jefferson benchmark this month in comparison to how they performed last spring. So the students that performed in the top 2 tier performance bands stayed pretty steady. We could celebrate the 3% gain, but I think what's more important to point out is that in the spring, 32% of them were performing in the high risk category. That's over a third of them. And this fall, only 13% of them remained in that high risk category. At the end of the 2-week program, the girls were interviewed about their experience, and I'd like to share a short clip of the girls attending class at Stanford. I have done a voiceover of some of the quotes the girls spoke. I did not edit their quotes, so please excuse any run-on sentences or any ums and likes. Oh no. It's not gonna work. Well, they had a great time. You would have seen them in their classrooms. You would have seen shots of them around Stanford. You would have seen, oh, it's asking for you to get access from you, not from me.
But when she says,
Oh. You would have seen them around campus. You would have seen them in their classroom with Dr. Joe Bowler. You would have things that they said where they used to not like math. Now they like math. They thought that it was a bad thing to make a mistake, and now they know that they can learn from their mistakes. Some even went as far as they enjoy having a growth mindset. One girl said that she used to be the shy girl in the corner and never wanted to be called on, and now she looks forward to being a collaborative partner. I definitely feel like the girls grew socially, emotionally, maybe more so than their math. I don't know, we haven't seen the results yet, but they definitely seemed like they had a killer time, so.
I'll put the videos in the Friday newsletter.
Okay, great. So we're ready to begin again for next year.
Cool, thank you. Any comments or questions from board members?
you want me to go first? So I have one question for Ms. Miller and then about 4 questions for Ms.
Okay.
LaRock. So I was just wondering what, you mentioned that there was an increase in enrollment for ESY, extended school year. What was the cause of the increase in enrollment?
You know, I'm not sure because the recommendations come from IEP teams. So, you know, it may have been more decisions from the IEP team recommending the extended school year, or it may have been more of the families signing the students up. Because even though sometimes our students are recommended, families decide not to avail themselves of the service. But
True.
again, we did have 20 additional students, so that meant 2 classes.
Right.
And I feel like I grew this year. I also feel like the staff really grew, and it's such an important time for me as an administrator to engage with my families, really get to know my families, and I know every staff member at this point because they've all returned, and it informs my work throughout the rest of the school year.
Nice.
So maybe it's the tight-knit community we formed that families wanted to participate more this year too. We had staff that actually wanted to come even though they weren't working during the
Right.
program. So that was pretty impressive. So
Okay.
really important work. Thank you.
All right, thanks. And this might be a question for Ms. Kessler, but how does that affect our budget, the additional 20 students for ESY?
Well, as you can see, the Inspiring Summer only used 2% of the funds from parcel tax of the ESY.
Yeah, the ESY.
I would have to look at what that cost would be and get back to you on that.
Oh, no worries, okay. So thank you.
That's
for that.
okay. Thank
And
you.
then Ms. LaRock, so the first question is, what is the actual assessment from Big Lift? Is Big Lift offered the assessment, or do we create the assessment?
It's actually from Bell Excel.
Bell Excel.
Bell Excel offers it. It's part of the package.
Okay.
It is. It's called STAR. Correct me, Ben. STAR. It's called STAR, and it's just a computer adaptive assessment that helps us guide where the students are, so we know where to start instruction.
Okay. So, but you made a distinction between the Power Scholars assessment and that assessment for Big Lift, and I think you mentioned that the Power Scholars assessment focused on ELA and math.
Correct.
What was the other assessment?
ELA, Big Lift, Inspiring Summer. Their
Just
focus is only
all
language
ELA.
arts, and
Okay,
Power
right.
Scholar does language arts and math.
Got you, okay. And then do the regular school year teachers use those results from that Bell Excel assessment?
They currently do not.
Okay, something to think about, right? Then number 3 is the Power Scholars, ELA and math. How are the students selected to be a part of the Power Scholars summer program?
So to be on Power Scholars, you either have to be an alumni, or on your spring benchmark, you have to be in that orange performance band. And if you
Okay.
performed right in that orange, then we invite you.
Okay. So it's an intervention. And then are some of those alumni students, were they also in Orange before, or?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yes.
Hopefully these questions are, useful for everybody else. So number 4 is how much does the district contribute to the summer programs? I guess that would be for you again. I know you said 2% for.
Right, for the big lift, and then I believe it was 22% for the 191 students that were.
That's
on
correct.
other-
The last vote.
And coming from the parcel tax, and from the prior year, we did have some parcel tax leftover funds that weren't spent, and so we were able to use that.
Okay, nice. Well, I'm definitely glad to hear how much is going on, because I remember about maybe 5 years ago, critiquing the Silicon Valley Community Foundation, and I remember saying that they should do more, that we should have a full summer school. So it seems like we're getting closer to it. And I guess what I'm thinking is, has the school district ever thought about having year-round school? A year-round schedule, or even one school that was year-round?
I'm going to pass that question on.
So the school district would be you. So the question is, have you thought about that? Or has the board discussed that?
Okay, well,
Not
I've
recently.
thought about it.
Okay, you've thought about it.
but-
So not recently, I should say. And if the board wants to engage in that conversation, it's a multi-step and multi-year process to consider.
Just listening to the results and how, they're not just staying neutral, but getting ahead, just really kind of brought it back to my thought pattern. Okay, well, thank you. That was it. All right.
I just wanted to get clarification on one of Board Member Trustee Ali's questions, was that everyone in Orange is invited to PSA?
Well, what we do is, when they're in orange, they actually got assigned a number. It's like 242 teachers, 242. So we take the ones that are closest to the yellow, and we just start our invite list down, and then we go to our B invite list when we don't fill up. So closest to yellow, and then we count down.
Got it, okay.
If that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Okay. I just also wanted to say thank you all, Ms. LaRock and Ms. Miller, for all of your hard work, and of course the rest of the staff. I'm only getting a glimpse, especially without the video, of what these programs are and what it actually takes to run these programs. And based on the Fast Bridge and the other assessments, it's such a huge success. Even 3% is a huge success. So, I don't want you to feel like you need to minimize that, because it is. And we're lucky, very lucky to have you. And I just want to say to all of the staff, and you guys, just keep up the good work, and thank you.
A lot of the staff is here. Raise your hand if you're
Yes.
Power Scholars or Big Lift. They're all here.
All right.
Lila, you gotta raise your hand. They're all here.
Oh, yes, I just wanted to also mention that I was very pleased to see the UQ program, and that, to me, just the students being there immersed in the university environment was valuable enough, even without the instruction. And I think you even mentioned that, socio-emotionally, that they learned a lot. But I also was curious about the other programs, and because I think you briefly mentioned socio-emotional learning as part of Big Lift and Power Scholars. Was there some type of program that was run, or?
For social emotional learning,
Yes.
it is by far and correct me if I'm wrong, team, it is infused through the entire day, a growth mindset, college and career readiness, and how to get there. The kids can't escape it. It's with them all, the whole day. And they're in class 8:30 to 4:30.
Wow,
So
okay.
it's a full day for them.
Nice, okay. Thanks.
I just want to echo everybody and just say thank you so much for the presentation and for all the staff and everybody who put this great summer program together. I love getting this presentation every year because it shows that summer programs actually work and actually does make a difference. I know at the last slide you mentioned enrollment opens in 2020. I was wondering what do you guys have in store for 2020 in terms of anything new, anything different in terms of like more offerings or more students?
Well, currently we have on deck Big Left Inspiring Summers again. There's a possibility where we might be able to scoop up extra classes of third graders. That's still on the table at the moment. And then we will still have our grant that will fund Power Scholars Academy. Same amount of kids. U Cubed will not be offered this summer.
I think that's it. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So next is item 7A, public hearing. Public hearing for the 2018-2019 CSEA Chapter 233 contract renewal proposal. A public hearing will be held to receive public input on the CSEA Chapter 233 contract renewal proposal for the 2019-2022 school years. CSEA is proposing to open negotiation on various existing articles and new articles on professional courtesy and employee discipline as specified in the proposal. I will open the public hearing at 7:52 p.m. Are there any speaker cards on this item? No. Seeing none, I will close it at 7:52 p.m. Next is public hearing for Jefferson Elementary School District's counterproposal to CSEA 233. A public hearing will be held to receive public input on the Jefferson Elementary School District's response to CSEA Chapter 233 contract renewal proposal for the 2019-2022 school years. The district's proposing to open negotiations to update language on various existing articles to reflect recent agreements in current state law and new language for Articles 8 and 14. I will open the public hearing at 7:53 p.m. Are there any speaker cards? Nope. Seeing none, I will close it at 7:53 p.m. Okay, so next is item 8A, communications, board member acknowledgement and commendations. I was only going to comment that I attended the second session of the Equity Network with Dr. Joyner, Mr. Vidalis, and board member Manufo Laga Anwai. And it was a great session talking about a variety of defining what equity means and how school districts can create a description of what equity means for their school districts and for all their schools. And look forward to a couple more sessions to go in 2020 as well. Next item is item 8B, correspondence and superintendent comments.
Yeah, I just have a couple items. I believe last week or maybe a week and a half ago, our district was notified that we had 2 district schools that were eligible to apply for the California Distinguished Schools Program. Both Westlake Elementary and Thomas Edison Elementary met the criteria that was needed to be eligible to apply. So I understand they're both completing their applications. And it's a quick turnaround time. They need to return their applications by the 6th of December. And then it's followed up by a verification visit. And then it is determined if they can receive the award. So it's going to be a busy couple months for those schools, but we're so proud. We are the only district in San Mateo County to have 2 schools be recommended to apply. So we're happy about that. Second thing, I was able to attend part of the Special Education Advisory Committee for Parents and Guardians that took place yesterday. We had over 30 parents and guardians represented to learn more about the special education program and ways that they can continue to partner with our school district. And I'm excited about what this means for continued partnership and input. I want to thank Colleen Miller for also heading that up with Dr. Adams and other special education staff who were present. There's childcare, there was food. There's no reason why someone should not have come besides needing to be somewhere else. There was, our paraprofessional staff were there to help with the childcare, students that they knew and they worked with through the day. They were able to hang out with them in the evening as well. That's it.
Thank you. Next is item 8C, persons wishing to address the board. This portion of the agenda is available for individuals to comment on or address the board on any issue that is under the board's jurisdiction and not on the agenda. The maximum time allowed for any speaker is usually 2 minutes. I have 2 speaker cards. First one is Heen Gregory.
Hi. So, my name is Heen Gregory, and I'm a mom of 3, and I have 2 kids going to Benjamin Franklin, and I'm a volunteer at Benjamin Franklin, and I have 1 child who's going to Marjorie Tobias. And the reason I'm here tonight is that I'm a big fan of recycling, compost, and having our 3 kids went to Marjorie Tobias. There's this great system on recycling, compost, and trash. But our kids going to Benjamin Franklin, and I'm happy there. But observing the lunch over there, I see there is no recycling at all, and there's only trash. And it just really kind of like make me feel that this is need to be changed. I mean, all we need to do is just have that for the kids, because our kids are old enough, they're middle school, they should be able to do trash and recycling. So that's why I'm here, and see if you guys could just, help us out with getting that going with our school. And do you want to add something? Oh, so another thing is that our school, our PE teacher requests or our school wish to have a water filter. And for our kids, our school, Benjamin Franklin has 600 kids, and it's a great thing that if they could get the water filter, because someday it's really hot, and so for them to have the filter water to refill the bottle. So I went to the PTSA meeting, and our PTSA able to help out with purchase the device, but we need help with installation. So I hope if we could get like a school district to provide the installation for our school for the water system to add into our school. That's just like a question to see if you guys could help it out with that too. And that is pretty much all for tonight for me.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Alana Wong.
Hi, good evening. I'm a mom of 3 kids here in Daly City. I also have 2 students at Ben Franklin. I have a couple concerns about the overall school environment this year. The school received the big black metal gates over the summer, and it has completely changed the culture and environment of the school. It's become very, the kids think it looks like a penitentiary. There's interior gates they're not allowed to go in and out of. That was just one issue. I just wanted to bring that to your attention because an administrator told me that all the schools will be receiving that, and every school in the district will become a closed campus with no access to the community. That brings me to my next point is the middle schoolers are not allowed to attend sporting events at other schools without their mothers or fathers with them. So like my son tried to go watch a volleyball game at Fernando Rivera, and he was not allowed to come in. And they immediately kicked them off campus. They weren't even allowed to wait for a ride or anything. So I just don't think that's a welcoming environment. He's 14 years old. He's very respectful. He's a model student. But to not be able to go and support sporting events is unfortunate. It's not a welcome atmosphere. The kids are being criminalized when they haven't done anything wrong. They just want to go to sporting events. My last issue is the administration has decided that some students are not eating lunch, and they have decided to lock them into the MUR for the first 1/3 of their lunch period, so they're not allowed to access the yard to go play outside until they have opened the doors, and that's creating another prison-like atmosphere because a lot of students just want to play. You can't force kids to eat. If you have kids, you know this, it's impossible. Some won't. I think if they want to encourage them to eat, they should come up with another solution besides cutting into their access to playtime because they're so limited. And my last point, I have 15 seconds. They have a closed campus. They will not allow the students to stay after school. They announce it every day that they must be off campus by 3:15. There's nowhere in the area to play basketball. The students have always played basketball at Ben Franklin. Unfortunately, with the new administration, they've now closed the campus and they can't. So just so you know, there are no basketball courts anywhere in Westlake. I've already gone to the Park and Rec Commission. I've talked to them and requested access to the gym down there. But I think we need to do better. These kids are perfect age to build healthy habits and join their community, and they're kind of being treated like criminals. So, thank you.
Cool, thank you. I just wanted to let you guys know that we are listening. We've heard your comments. We just can't speak about it because it's not on the agenda tonight. But we'll talk with our superintendent and see what we can do about all those kind of issues. So thanks for.
If it gets on the agenda, can we, because I know tons of other parents that would love to.
Sorry, we can't engage in conversation just because, but I just want to let you guys know that we've heard your concerns, So just say thanks. Next item is item 9A, consent agenda. The administration recommends approval of the starred items on the rest of tonight's agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
First and a second, all those in favor say aye. Aye. That was unanimous. Next is 9C, proposed board meeting dates for 2020. The board will review and discuss proposed board meeting dates for 2020 to be voted on at the December 11th, 2019 meetings. Mr. Dallas?
Yeah, so there was a request for the board to look at these dates before you vote on them in December. This year, all of the meetings occur on either the second or the fourth Wednesday, which are our typical meeting dates, except for November. The second Wednesday is November 11th, which is a federal holiday. So we're not able to meet on that day. So the recommendation is that we meet on November 18th for that month. And the dates are set up there. This doesn't include any special meetings or anything like that. These are just mostly the regular board meetings.
Any comments from board members on either of the dates?
There are a couple months where we only have one meeting.
Yeah, typically we meet only once in July, August, November, and April and December. April if it falls during a spring break.
Let me see. I move that we approve the calendar for
You don't have to approve it today. You just look at it and just have a conversation to discuss and ask any questions, and then we approve it at our reorg meeting in December.
All right.
Okay, so next is item 9D, scheduling board reports. The board will discuss and schedule reports at upcoming board meetings for the members who attend this 2019 CSBA Annual Education Conference.
Yeah, so we have 4 board members who will be attending the CSBA conference. 2 of you are here, 2 of you are not. And typically after the CSBA conference, we do have like a 5 to 10 minute presentation from each board member who is able to attend. So we put this now so that we can schedule them for the December and January meeting, maybe February if needed. So if there's any preferences, desire to do the December meeting from those of you who are here, I think it would be appropriate for one of you to do, or both of you to do the December meeting.
I'll do the December meeting.
Okay.
Yeah. We haven't picked a date yet, so whenever.
Yeah, it would be December 11th. That would be the board meeting date, yeah. And the conference is December 4th, 5th, and 6th. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'll do it too.
Does that work? Okay. We'll see if we can get both of you on the 11th meeting, but if it's a long meeting, we may just only have one of you. I'll flip a coin.
So as an action item, do we need to vote on this? Or how does this?
Yes, it does say action, so let's vote on Mr. Ali and Mr. Koo presenting in December, and Ms. Lienga Anoa'i and Mrs. Brizuela could present in January.
Okay. I'll make a motion to, for Mr. Koo and Mr. Ali to present at the December meetings, and Ms. Liagi Anoa'i and Ms. Brizuela to present either at the January or February meetings.
Second.
First and second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That was unanimous. Next is item 9E, call for nominations for CSBA Subregion 5B Delegate Assembly. The administration recommends that the board consider nominating local board members for CSBA Subregion 5B Delegate Assembly. Nomination packets are due to the superintendent by November 21st, 2019, for consideration at the December 11th, 2019 meeting. This is submitted for the board's information.
Yeah, so this is just a call for nominations. I believe Mr. Koo's delegate seat is up, and he may be considering submitting his name for nomination again. But regardless if he does or not, how many seats would be up in our region?
I believe there are 3 seats.
Three seats
my
up, so.
seat, Ms. Salahuddin from the Jefferson Union High School District, and Ms. Koo.
Ms. Koo.
Unrelated. To
Unrelated. So the process is this: if either you or you know of somebody who would like to be nominated, you need to reach out to them, because there's some items that need to be collected from folks wishing to be nominated, and if I can have those by November 21st, I can prepare them for the December 11th meeting. We do have to have the names into CSBA by January 7th, I believe. And there's no board meeting in between.
Any comments, questions? No? Okay. So moving along, next item is 10C, trip to Yosemite, FDR students. The administration recommends approval of Franklin D. Roosevelt's school trip to Yosemite with the Nature Bridge for 22 students, Monday, March 30th, 2020 to Friday, April 3rd, 2020.
I move that we approve the Yosemite trip with Nature Bridge for Monday, March 30th, 2020 to Friday, April 3rd, 2020.
Before I second, Dr. Joyner, did you want to speak to that?
So Principal Higgins is here. He can speak more. Yeah, please.
It just said action, it didn't say information or discussion.
So last year, I met with some of our middle school leaders, student leaders, and we were discussing, what is going well about our school and what could we change. And one thing that all of them wanted was something just extra and special for the students that they don't currently have. And so we talked about doing some type of big activity or trip. As a former 8th grade teacher, I've actually gone to Nature Bridge at Yosemite several times. And so I shared my experience with them, and they loved it. So it's essentially very similar to the 5th grade outdoor ed that the 5th graders, everybody goes to. But it's more rigorous. So there's lots of science based on sustainability and geology and other science focuses. It's also builds more independence. The one difference is where, in outdoor ed in 5th grade, it's several schools come together and they interact, which is really wonderful. But this is just, while there's other schools there, this is just our students are interacting, learning about all of the science things while building teamwork amongst themselves. So like one thing that I love about I used to be a 5th grade teacher as well, so I've been to outdoor ed many times too. One thing I loved about it was the last day, everybody would be crying because they would miss their newfound friends. But at Nature Bridge, that doesn't happen because they get to see their newly bonded friendships the very next week. So, we've reached out to all of our 8th graders this year and our families, and everybody's very anxious and excited about moving forward. So, do you have any questions?
Are parents allowed on this trip? Or it's just?
This is just students. There's going to be 3 chaperones. That's what Nature Bridge requires. There's they have naturalists that break the kids up into small groups, and each chaperone goes with a different group. But the chaperones are going to be 2 of the teachers and possibly me for half of the week, and maybe my vice principal for the other half of the week, or maybe another staff member, or possibly a parent.
And do they sleep in cabins, tents, sleeping bags? Like, what's the sleeping?
So there's 2 different settings. The first half of the week will be in Curry Village, which is tent cabins. There's a section of Curry Village which is just for students. And then the other half of the week, they'll be in Crane Flat, which is outside of the tourist part of Yosemite, and they'll be in like a big dorm.
Yeah.
And they're the only, nobody else is around. It's very secluded.
Yes. Thank you.
So those are first. Did you want a second?
Sure. I'll second the motion.
First and second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous.
Good job.
Thank you.
Yep.
Next is 10D, student success. CASP data, Dr. Heidi Joyner, Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services, will provide an update as to how 3rd to 8th graders did on the Smarter Balance assessments.
All right, good evening. So I'm here to talk about our student success based on CASP data from the administration from 2018-19. So just as a reminder, JSD is made up of children and families from various ethnic backgrounds and children with varying abilities. We're also made up of staff members who are very focused on ensuring access and opportunity to all of our students. So with that, we're going to talk about how our students performed and progressed in this administration of CASP from last year. So CASP stands for California Assessment of Student Performance and Progress, and the students take the Smarter Balanced assessments. So as a reminder, CASP is a summative assessment that is taken at the end of the school year, and our 3rd through 8th grade students take ELA and math, and this coming year in 2020, science will be added. And the tests are taken in April and May. So I'm sure you're wondering, how do we do? So district-wide for our English language arts, in 2018-2019, we had about 48% of our students who have met and or exceeded the benchmark, and about 52% who have yet to meet the benchmark. And this, if you're looking from 2016 through now, we've pretty much stayed stable. Our students are holding steady, although we did make a 2% increase from met to nearly met. In math, as we see from last year, we have 38% who met and or exceeded, and we have 62% who have yet to meet in math. And again, just comparing the data across, we are holding steady. Although 1% movement out of nearly met and movement into exceeded in math. So looking a little more deeply into it, we're going to look at our subgroups, and our subgroups are comprised of our Asian, African American, Hispanic, White, and Pacific Island students. So just going across, our Asian population, and these are the students that took the test. So this may not encompass all of the students, but the students who did take the test. And so 59% of our Asian students met and/or exceeded, and 40% have yet to meet the benchmark. In our Hispanic population, 33% met and/or exceeded, and 67% have yet to meet the benchmark. And in our white students, white population, 41% met and/or exceeded, and 59% have yet to meet the benchmark. Again, with ELA, our African American students, 32% met and/or exceeded, and 67% have yet to meet the benchmark. And our Pacific Islanders, 33% met and/or exceeded, and 67% have yet to meet the benchmark. In math, our Asian population, 50% have met and/or exceeded, and 50% have yet to meet the benchmark. Our Hispanic population, 23% have met and/or exceeded, and 77% have yet to meet the benchmark. And our white population, 34% have met and/or exceeded, and 66% have yet to meet the benchmark. Our African American students, 20% have met and/or exceeded, and 80% have yet to meet the benchmark. And our Pacific Islanders, 23% have met and/or exceeded, and 78% have yet to meet the benchmark. So we're also going to look at our unduplicated students, which incorporates our English language learners, our socioeconomically disadvantaged students, and our foster youth. So before we go into it, I want to talk to you about EverEL. And so I thought EverEL meant you're going to be forever an EL, but it's actually not that. It's have you ever been an EL student? And so a student who's currently an English language learner, or who was formerly an English language learner but has been redesignated or reclassified to RFEP, is an EverEL. And so we look at those students, it gives a better picture of how our EL students are doing, and it'll give us a better picture of the programs and supports we need, or the programs and supports that are working. So when we look at our EverELs, and again, that's our EL students, our current EL students, and students who have been RFEP'd. 43% of our EverELs have met and/or exceeded in English language arts, and 58% have yet to meet the benchmark. And these scores do not include EL students who've been in the country for less than 1 year. They do not have to take the ELA portion. For our low SES, 40% have met and/or exceeded, and 60% have yet to meet the benchmark. In math, our EverELs, 33% have met and/or exceeded, and 67% have yet to meet the benchmark. Our ELs do have to take the math portion, even if they've been here for less than a year. And then our low SES, 31% have met and/or exceeded, and 69% have yet to meet the benchmark. So just a little bit about what went on last year in terms of math. So we adopted a new math curriculum in elementary and middle school. In the elementary school, we did see an increase in math scores in last year's scores. In middle school, and I want to go over this quote, CMP3 is the math adoption, and the quote says, "It's an inquiry-based mathematics program for grades 6 through 8. It helps students actively focus on math problem solving, reasoning and proof, communication, representation, and connections. These math practices require students to look deeper and connect problem solving to practical situations." So this is a new way for our students to look at math. And so looking at the data, I'm questioning what happened with math, and because it takes years to fully implement and get our teachers to do it with fidelity and confidence, we're going to see some dips and valleys and peaks. So looking at the math, in our third, fourth, and fifth, we have, 44% who have met and/or exceeded, and about 56% who have yet to meet the benchmark. But if you look over time, over the 3 years, you do see growth in the math for elementary. In 6th, 7th, and 8th, we have 31% who have met and/or exceeded, and 68% who have yet to meet the benchmark. And again, if you look over time, there's a slight dip. So you're probably wondering, and I'm looking at your faces, what happened? What happened, and the other question is, how do we make changes so that our students are moving to meeting and/or exceeding? So one of the things that we're looking at is the implementation of a new math adoption. It takes several years for teachers to really fully implement any kind of adoption. And when you do adopt new curriculum, you typically will see maybe a little dip, but you'll see peaks and valleys until everybody is fully implementing it with fidelity and confidence. So how do we make changes so that our kids start to move up? So currently, we do have a new ELA adoption as well as a second year of a math adoption. So currently, our instructional coaches are providing training in ELA and math after school, and it's continuous and consistent training for our staff. Our instructional leaders are spending more times in classrooms to support teaching and learning. And our leadership and ILT teams are focused on learning about equity and developing an equity lens so that we can provide greater access and opportunity for our students to the curriculum and to whatever students need. And our instructional leaders, which are principals and teachers, are having more conversations around data. We're using data to make more decisions about what to do regarding instruction and supports for our students. So while it may seem like our kids are not getting everything that they need, they really are getting a lot of what they need, and they're going to continue to grow, and academically, socially, and emotionally. So we want to thank our teachers because they have been doing a great job. It's a lot of hard work. These new curriculum implementations take a lot of time and effort to get to know and get used to. So we want to thank our teachers. We want to thank everybody that supports our kids, because even with the new adoptions, the support staff, they have to support just as much as the teachers do. And we want to thank our leaders for doing the right things for our staff and our students. So the other piece is the California dashboard. I talked to you last month about the 5 local indicators. So in December, the dashboard information will be released, and in January, I will provide a presentation on how we're doing with our dashboard, with our local indicators. That's it.
Thank you. Comments or questions from board members?
Do we have any targeted intervention for those lowest performing groups?
As a district, I think what we have is Bass Bridge, Fontes and Pinnell, I think as a district, but sites do have their own independent interventions as well.
You may remember we did receive I forget the name of it, but it's students who have repeatedly scored poorly on these assessments. We received a grant from the state. We have 2 years to implement it. One of the interventions, I believe, that's being looked at and explored is an AVID implementation of the AVID program for those students, as well as several protocols on monitoring student performance for those students who are the lowest.
Do we have any more comments? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next item is item 11B, update on food service management company application submittal and selection process. The administration will provide an update on the state monitored and guided food service management company RFP application and seek direction on the application and selection process to be undertaken in the 2019-2020 school year. Ms. Kessler.
Okay, so I have something for each of you. And you have one already, right? So I can just- what you have here is put together, there's 3 columns and they're in different sections here. And they're for the foods that are approved by the National School Lunch Program, the minimum requirement. Then we have in the middle column, what we are currently providing. And then in the far right column would be what would be considered an upgrade to the food product to work with.
So, so just as a reminder, when Ms. Kessler presented before, the board wanted to look at where are the places in this RFP that the school district has some options of making some additions or selections, because we did share that it's a highly regulated process and there's very few places where a district can insert different options. So this is one of the places where the district does have some options to make some choices. So.
Exactly. And so when we go out for an RFP, we will go out with a 21-day menu that coincides with our current program, with the current food types, the quality and such that we have. But we also can have an alternate one that the providers can bid on. So what we'll do is we'll set like one with one set of meals, and then with whatever upgrades in food you would like to include, we can have an alternate one, and then they'll come to us with, hopefully everybody will come to us with 2 proposals, one for the standard types of food that we're using, and the other one with the upgraded foods that you choose to put in there. And so we get charged a fixed meal price. So for breakfast, for lunch, for a supper program, it's a certain dollar amount that every meal that's served, we pay a specific dollar amount to our vendors who are supplying us the foods and with the food service management company. And that's all we pay them. We don't pay them additional fees for other things. It's all based on this. So they'll come to us with 2 proposals, and that will be the price that they would be charging to us per meal served. So what we would like to ask you is, with the potential upgrades, what you might like to see us put on that request for proposal. Now, if we go out and do that, we will end up with those 2 sets of prices, and at that time, we can look at it and decide where do we want to go with this. If it's a lot more money, it's going to cost $300,000 more in the year, you may choose to do it, or you may choose not to do that. Or maybe it's a small amount, and you might decide to do that. So in choosing, if we took everything from the right column, I'm sure it would be quite expensive, and we need to pay for that. So I would suggest, and we've written down some recommendations, they're highlighted, going through it and just kind of thinking what would the students like, what would be beneficial, what would be an improvement that we feel would be a reasonable improvement. And when those prices come in, you can make that decision at that time. But if we have them bid on that, we can't just go and say, okay, well, let's add this or let's add that, because that changes what they're bidding on, and then we'd have to go out again and offer that same process to everybody. So we want to get it right done the first time so that we don't have to go back out. So any questions that you might have on this? I don't know how you'd like to do it, if you want to go down one by one through these? Okay. And to discuss, so obviously there's the meat, the poultry diced, and right now, and as you'll see, a lot of times there's a very little difference between what we're currently doing and what an upgrade would look like. And the ones on the left, the minimum, I'll just let you guys look at it. We don't really have to go over that because we don't really want to go down to that. So in the meantime, what we're currently providing is a blend of dark and light meats, and it has no soy in it, and it's a frozen product usually. There's only one raw thing here, and we'll talk about that later. And to upgrade, it would be white meat only, and it would be like the solid meat, right? And in neither case is there any soy, because it's not, it's chunks, it's not ground. So we could go up, but we also have Ms. King here to answer questions if you would like to ask in her knowledge what the kids may or may not be liking or throwing away more. But in this case, I think Mr. Vidalis felt like the kids probably prefer the dark meat in here. So if you wanted to go to the white meat only, then you're skipping that, okay? So on to the next one. Or does anybody have any questions about that one? So the next one is chopped meat, and it's white and dark mix. And the soy that's in it is to, it's not really, it does add some to it, but it's not really meant as a filler. It's more to bind it together. So that's what the soy is for in there. But an upgrade would be to go to solid white meat, so the muscle. Not having any kind of, not having it ground at all. And we thought that, we believe that's about, probably about 2.5 times the cost that we're paying now. Not for everything, okay, but for the meals that have this and that portion of the meal, because it's not going to be every day. And it's just 2.5 times the cost of the other meat that's here. But we felt that that would be an upgrade that we might want to look at because, again, it's solid instead of ground.
Yeah, one of the reasons is having had children myself and lots of children come over, the white meat tends not to be very popular with kids because it's drier. Their mouths are so small. But when it's a chicken tender and you have lots of ketchup, that helps to moisten it. So I think they wouldn't really, it would not be a deal breaker for them to have the white chicken tenders versus a ground chicken nugget. Yeah.
So I saw a lot of heads nodding. It looks like that's something that you would be interested in having in an alternate, okay? So then we go down to the bone-in chicken, and most of we offer this to the middle schools on occasion, the bone-in, and right now it's a pre-cooked frozen bone-in. The alternative would be to go to raw, and that it would be about 3 times the price, but also we would be handling raw meat, and with the salmonella, and I see no's, and that's exactly what we were thinking. But I did want to bring this option to you if you want. That's not a recommendation because I think we would have to do a lot of changes in the central kitchen to make sure that there was no cross-contamination anywhere. It's kind of risky. Anybody has other than a no?
I wish I could, but I do understand this would be more of an uphill battle to have to deal with.
I'm sorry?
This would be more of an uphill battle to have to deal with, especially if we have to go through the
It's
health
not just the
department.
3 times the cost of the meat itself. It's the.
Everything.
The training, the making sure the facilities are right. And then if somebody does get sick, we're not going to know if it's our fault, if it's from school. I mean, it could be from school food. So it's kind of difficult for us to handle that. But I did want to put it out there. So on to the next page. Right now, we are offering 2.1 ounces of 100% beef patties. The increase is only with the size, going to a 3-ounce beef patty. Otherwise, it's the same meat. It's about 1.5 times the price, which makes sense because it is about 50% more. We would recommend that for the middle school purposes because the students are more grown up and can eat more food.
Okay. Well, you just answered the question that I had, like, why were you recommending that, but, okay.
I saw a couple of yeses and nos, and I'm not sure where you want to go on that one.
I mean, have you seen the difference in the size? Have you,
Well,
between the three?
I guess it would be 50% bigger. I don't know if we want to
Yeah,
ask
well, I just know that younger kids have a hard time eating what's provided, and the older kids are often hungry at the end of their meal. So
Yeah.
this may help alleviate some of that, at least when there are burger patties that are being used, that they do get a slightly larger portion. if
And it
you're
is
in the middle
protein.
school. Yeah.
Okay, I'm nodding yes.
Can we come back to it?
I'm sorry.
Can we come back to it?
Sure. Absolutely. I'll just make an X there. Okay, so then comes with our yogurt, and basically, right now we have a gluten-free vegetarian yogurt. So yogurts are not always, I'm sorry, gelatin-free vegetarian yogurt. If there's a gelatin in the yogurt, it is sometimes meat. It's animal product, and so that's why this one is gelatin-free, so it is vegetarian. We can go to organic yogurt. That, I did have the approximate increase in price on that, but I failed to transfer it to this page. I apologize for that. So the difference would be to go to an organic one, which looking at the other organic prices, I would imagine would be clearly more expensive. But if that's something that you are interested in doing, we can do that.
So none of the organic yogurts are gelatin-free?
Yeah. We would make sure that it was.
Oh, okay,
That would be part of what we would want,
okay.
be specified.
I'm neutral on that one.
Yeah, I guess what is your recommendation?
I'm sorry?
What do you think in terms of your
Well,
recommendations?
what do I
of,
think?
this one?
And this, I think Ms. King would be a better person to ask that, but my opinion, I would imagine that the kids aren't going to notice the difference.
Right, right.
Sounds like a pass.
Are we, pass on that one?
Sounds like
Not come back to it, but pass on it. Okay. Okay, so with the cheese, there is no upgrade because we don't do the fake cheese, the American cheese stuff. So there's not really an upgrade there. Yeah, we've upgraded to the top. And ours is not processed there. Okay, so on to the processed meats. Right now we have turkey hot dogs, and we can go to beef franks, and they are, instead of 8 per package, I guess, the size is, I guess 8 per package, it's 5. So I understand this to be a little bit larger. It's about 2.5 times the price to go from turkey to beef. I don't know if our students would like it more or not.
I don't know. I think they would.
Think they would?
I think they would.
Oh, you think they would not?
I think they would like the beef franks more than turkey.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
All right.
I don't know what you guys think.
I was gonna ask, Ms. King, would you like to give some feedback?
I don't like turkey franks.
Oh, yes, sir.
I guess, what do you think about this? In
Okay,
terms
could you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
about the turkey franks versus beef franks, like.
I would have to agree with Mr. Ali. I think they would prefer the beef franks over the turkey franks. It just has a little bit more volume to it. No fillers or anything, but it's just a little bit more palatable, more tastier. And a lot of them don't have really a lot of salt in it, like lower salt products.
It just seems like to me the texture of turkey franks is just different. I don't know if anybody else likes them, but
I don't need hot
Well,
dogs.
one thing here we want to point out is that when it says 8, the one that's really the smaller one, because that means that it's 8 hot dogs per pound. So we go to a larger one, that means that if it's 5 to 1, that's 5 hot dogs per pound.
yeah.
Thank you. I knew that, and I forgot it.
Anything else?
So for an alternate bid, would you like us to add the beef patties, the beef franks?
I would do it. Yes.
2.5 times the cost
Well, and that would be.
for that meal. And I don't know how often we serve hot dog.
Right, it's not for the entire meal, it's for that portion that's in the meal. We do want some differences between them so that you can see what the price is, but of course, you're hoping to get an improved meal that's not with a price we don't want to live with, right? But if the kids are eating it, maybe more will
Most
eat it.
likely will eat it. On this one, I'm just thinking most likely they would actually eat the whole hot dog.
And I don't think that means we can't offer the turkey. I mean, I think we could still go ahead and offer the turkey. I would have to.
Do a taste test.
Yeah, I mean, there'd be some kids maybe that don't eat beef that would then therefore want the turkey.
Alternative, yeah.
But I'm not exactly sure how that would fall out just yet. If it would have to be all for one meal and something else for the other. But if we did it, and we were finding that they were not, like 40% fewer kids were eating the turkey ones, and we could just say, okay, forget the turkey ones, let's go on, stick with the beef ones. So add that one. Okay. So right below that is also the possibility of having roast beef.
Oh, yeah, I do see that.
And that's about 3 times the price. Okay.
I feel like we're passing on that one.
I'm just saying these options are. So we're going to go ahead with the franks, but not the roast beef. Okay, so on the next page, this is kind of a fun one, but we can see what they come up with. The idea here is we order some things that are already pre-packaged entrees, and that's what we've got there. We can ask the vendor to offer up what they, including like some of these meats that we have here, like if we're having 100% beef and we've got the muscle meat or something, they can give their suggestions, what they would, we have 8 items here to ask them to go up to like 8 improved items. And maybe they're not all. Maybe they feel that certain ones are already like the tastiest that they would have. But whatever they would put there, they would then have to include that in their price. So they're going to want to have a price that is palatable for us because they're going to want to win the bid, right? But if they feel that the students will really like it and eat it, then they might suggest that. And Ms. King was talking to me today, for instance, she was talking about the Galaxy Pizza, and she thought that they would perhaps come up with a deep dish pizza from some artesian one. I don't know, she said that word somewhere along the way, that is like,
Artisan.
okay, that is tastier and that they would prefer. And so they might add something like that. But if they did that, we would have them write all the ingredients. They'd have to specify exactly what the ingredients are in the product. So we're recommending that. We want to see what they come up with. Because otherwise, there's some good options that they could put in here. And they'll just know, they hopefully will know what sells well and what do the kids like and not. And what are they willing to put in there that they can live with the price that they bid out on. So are you okay with that? I'm hoping that you are, because that's a.
Could we recommend that they be from local companies and or more organic ingredients?
We can recommend that when possible that they use local, but they also have to follow the rules that they need to follow as well, because then they have to go out and offer. One of the major reasons why we want to use a company is, first off, they have big buying power. That's one thing. It makes a huge difference in the cost. But also because they do all those legal requirements, that the compliance that we would have to then do. So every time you go out, for instance, to buy an apple, we got to go out to several different sources. We can't just choose it from this person over here. But we can put in it that we would like them to buy local when it's a reasonable option. And maybe in their response to us, we can ask them to express how they would maybe do that. How would they accomplish that? Do they have tools to do that, or are we dreaming? Or their experience with it. So we can ask them to state how they try to buy local. So that's something I can incorporate into the RFP itself. And that's not really specific to this area, this thing right here, the pre-made foods. I don't think that pre-made foods are not really the whole RFP together is what I'm talking about, yeah. And probably mostly kind of fruits and vegetables, obviously. Because I think the other stuff is probably from Great Big, except for like if we were doing the raw chicken, that would be probably a local thing, but we're not doing that. But the fruits and vegetables, yeah, I think they would probably be able to do that.
But also in this specific category as well.
If there's products.
Okay, if there's products that are local, sure. We can ask them to try to incorporate that, and if they do, to let us know that that's what they have on there. I'm sorry? I'm sorry. I'm hard, yeah, going, no, it was the.
Wrestling.
It's the wrestling.
So she said that not only local, but also the amount of organic ingredients included in these prepackaged items. So try
organic?
to. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, if what they're proposing has organic product, to please spell it out and let us know that. Yes, okay.
If I can ask, how much might that cost? Because I realize organic isn't necessarily the cheapest.
To go organic with most,
Or like
a lot.
Well, it's hard to know with these prepackaged foods, but I think, you just look at your own grocery shopping, and usually you pay a third to 50% more when you choose an organic product.
Right, but I mean, like, for instance, here we're talking about, like, there's a cheeseburger slider or a corn dog, so, but they can go with something else. Doesn't have to be those. It can be something, maybe they feel a teriyaki chicken that is already pre-made or something. I'm not sure, but I would guess that pre-made foods are probably hard to go organic because they've got to put additional things into it, right? Maybe to preserve it.
Some
I'm
of the
not sure.
ingredients could be organic.
Some,
Yeah,
right. So
sure.
one of the prepackaged companies that I was thinking of is Annie's Homegrown. They're based out of Berkeley, and they have
Okay.
a lot of,
Well, maybe we can,
Frozen
I'm not
organic.
sure if we can actually list that or not.
no, I don't want
might
that
have-
specifically
right.
listed, but there are companies out
Right.
there.
Okay, so we can ask them, also, we can ask them to list anything that they feel that they can purchase locally. That's in their proposal. So locally, and to specify local and organic.
Is that what?
Options that they're giving. And if we ask them to do that, we're letting them know that we are interested in supporting local and having things not come from not so far away if possible. So yes, and it would be for everything. We could say that for everything. So are we good on that? We're good on that, and I'll add that to it. So the breads, we've got fresh bread already. And of course, if we talk about local and organic, anytime they feel that they can put that in, they should mention it. They should let us know. All right, the last page before we revisit is the fruit component. So there's the top two, there's some differences. We have right now 1/2 cup of fresh fruit, and the option it would be to go to to choose from a couple organic fruits. And so those would probably, guess be whole foods, whole apples or pears or whatever. It would be about 1 1/4 times the price, so it's not that much more. I think the issue here is like when I was talking to the state, one of the people who goes through the RFP process, because I was asking them, what we're allowed to do and not, and we had brought up the organic things, is that there's less variety for the students if we go for organic, and in his opinion, of course, I don't know that he knew a whole lot about this, that the organic one would go into the garbage can just as easily as the non-organic one. So we can put it there if we want. I don't know if you want to do that. But we are recommending the second item, that when we do use canned fruits or vegetables, that helps us with a variety, like the peaches and stuff like that, so they can have it all year round, that we don't have it in any syrup at all, any added sugar. And there is word out there that the feds are phasing out the sugar, added sugar part, but we couldn't find anything that said that this was actually going to happen or not. But we do believe it's going to be phased out. And if that happens, then our commodities will come without the sugar added as well. And right now it's in light syrup, but we can ask for it to be with the natural juices only. Okay, we got 2 nods of yes.
I'm a little confused because are you recommending that we just go with no canned fruit?
No, not just.
So just
right
making
now
sure
we're
that it has
offering
natural juices.
fresh, 1/2 cup of fresh fruit, and we're offering canned fruit. And the recommendation here is offer the canned fruit that they do use only is in the natural juices with no added sugars.
So, yes.
By the way, it can be, it might be natural juices from a different fruit, right?
Like a sweeter fruit.
Right,
Like a
because, for instance, if you gave dried cranberries with no sugar in it, you're going to pucker up with that, because they're, so sometimes, like it can be, a lot of times it's apple juice that helps sweeten things up. And not all juices can, I was talking to somebody who knew about this, they can't always be in their own juice because their own juice is not going to preserve it. So sometimes the juice is what preserves it, and not all of the fruit has a juice that's going to preserve it.
Do we know what the cost difference would be to have that canned fruit and its juice be organic?
I do not know the approximate cost of that. I just, but it's the alternate one here. Of course, it's the alternate one, but we have to go with one or the other. I'm not sure that we can pick and choose on anything in here. If we choose to go with the natural juices only. But that is one area that I've heard from the board multiple times in the past, the concern about the canned fruit having sugar added. And so that's one of the reasons that we felt.
Is it possible for us to make that part of the mandatory
Yes.
request to say we want canned fruit with no artificial sweeteners, I guess, or, but.
Yes.
And then make the upgraded one canned fruit organic with no added sweeteners.
We can do that.
That, I think, because I feel more comfortable, like I would want to feed my own children. If I fed them canned fruit, I would not want one with corn syrup in it. So I think that, we have to make choices here of what we would do for our own. And I think that's one thing most of us would do. It does, like as Ms. Kessler pointed out, that it does make it likely ineligible for commodities. We don't know. There's a lot of farmers in the country who grow a lot of corn.
Something we can ask
And
Ms.
so
King.
there may be a lot of excess corn syrup out there that the government's trying to get rid of. But I think it's worth potential health benefits of not having it.
Yeah, I think the majority of commodities is with some light syrup in it. We might be having a hard time finding it, but
Well, likely it is because there's a lot of corn that nobody's buying. So we make syrup.
yeah, it's too bad it couldn't just be the natural juices instead of changed, right? Okay, so what I understand is the canned fruit with natural syrup, natural juices should be moved into the standard one. Okay, and that doesn't mean that you have. And you want the other canned fruit to be organic? You don't have to have it. You can have the same in each and just have that with both. But I think that if you have organic fruit and natural syrups, I'm going to guess that cost is going to be kind of high. And it might also be hard to get.
Might be fewer providers, but
Whole Foods.
I can see.
yeah, the thing about it is that they're not going to give it to us by item. So it's going to be, the meal price is going to be, instead of $1.25 for the standard program per meal, per lunch meal, it may be something like $2.50 per meal in the upgraded
More
program.
things we add on,
the higher
the
yeah,
difference is going to be.
I personally, I don't know if I've seen canned organic fruit, but I don't buy canned fruit very often.
The cups.
Those little fruit cups, the little dull cups. So they do come in organic.
They do.
Yeah, they do.
And that's nice. We just have to look at, is that going to, like Mr. Vidal said, maybe it's $1.80 for the standard meal, and maybe it's $2 for the upgraded meal, and maybe this one change makes it $2.10. We can't just throw it out. We can't just say, okay, well, we'll take it for $2 instead, because then we have to offer that to everybody to bid on it that way. So I'm looking for final direction on that one. For the upgraded one, do you just want to go ahead and have it in the natural juices, or do you want to have the upgraded one natural juices and organic? And, yeah, if you end up throwing it out, then you throw out the beef, well, the beef franks and the other things that yeah, it's kind of difficult because we don't get to just pick and choose and find out, oh, if we add this, how much more is it? Oh, it's too much, let's get rid of it, you know. We kind of got to have a package out there. Unless we do a third alternate, but I think that
I'm okay with the recommended, what you have as is.
are you okay with that? And
I mean, when you put it that way, it's kind of, you know, burn in the hand situation.
yeah, I mean, we are already deficit spending there because our labor costs in this area and California are high, and it's a federal program, so we get the same amount that they get in Alabama and Louisiana per meal. Okay, so we will have the canned fruit with natural juices in both of these categories. And the one above it, I kind of expressed that. I didn't think it was necessary, but that was my expression, and I need to know what you feel.
I like the organic fruit option.
Organic fruit. Is that the direction from everybody, or do you want to stick with fresh fruit? It's still fresh fruit. It's fresh chopped fruit that's not organic, or could be, but it's not necessarily organic, or only organic fresh fruit.
So I guess I have a question here. So I know some of these items are organic. Some of them aren't necessarily organic. If you go with some organic, does all of them have to be organic, or does some not have to be organic?
I'm sorry, help me out here.
Yeah, just the ones that we specify to be organic need to be organic. So if we don't specify, then they can select what the best option that they would like to put forth.
Sorry, I can't hear right.
So choosing between these two?
Yeah.
I'm fine with organic.
Yeah, we should go with organic.
Organic? Okay. Okay, so now we go down to vegetables. The difference here is organic again. In those top two categories. And right now, we are purchasing things within 250-mile radius, which for the top two, which I think is pretty good, actually, because it's not just for one, it's for all these different things. So it's local in the sense it's going to at least be the United States, right? And it's going to likely be California, because I don't know about Nevada there. Well, Nevada isn't, but, you know, we can get there, but I don't think they're going to grow anything over there. So it's California. It looks pretty much California grown. But right now, it's not organic, and we can have it be organic. And then the last one is the canned stuff is canned corn. And then the peas, green beans, such like that are frozen now. And so we could change that to fresh only. The fresh only is about 50% more. The organic one, I learned that it's probably around 25% more on the top two. But going from the canned and frozen to the fresh. And I know that everybody's thinking a lot of times fresh is the best, but I mean, certainly with fish, the flash frozen. Frozen is often better than the fresh just because of the amount of time it takes to get to us. It stays, if it's frozen, it stays fresh longer. I'm just talking about fish. I'm not talking about these. I don't know where they're coming from, so I don't know how difficult it would be for them to not be old.
Can we say fresh and locally sourced, the same 250 miles for the fresh?
For the canned corn, for the frozen stuff, or the canned one probably?
For the fresh.
For the fresh, or from frozen, you mean for the frozen? Because all the other stuff is already 250 miles.
From the frozen to the fresh.
From the frozen to the fresh and have it within the 250-mile range again?
Mhm.
For the upgraded one.
Does that at a certain point limit, like, I feel like corn, like if you can't get corn over 50 miles, does that become a problem in terms of sourcing?
Yeah, if we add that, then we wouldn't be able to get corn. The corn mostly is in August and September. So there would only be a very short time that we'd be able to offer corn. So the frozen corn is a good option. The other two options are all basically California products grown year-round. The peas and the corn, green beans. I mean, I'm only judging by what I see when I go to like a farmer's market, which is like within 250 miles, that I don't see some of these things all year round. But I always see lettuce green. Lettuce greens are always there.
And when you look at why are these other two 250 miles and the other ones not, probably because they're hard to get. I don't know, or maybe they don't last well fresh.
Could we then recommend fresh when in season, or organic canned when not, for the upgrade?
We can put that there.
Okay.
If that's what 2 of 3 of you want us to put.
I guess here's the thing. If you got organic for all of it in general, will a student eat more of it? I was going to ask the question too, because we can spend more money, but...
Will they eat more of it? I'm going to
it
guess
does-
not. I'm going to guess not.
I was just thinking, like, if, like, we can... Like, I'm okay with the added cost, but if they're not going to eat more of it, I don't know if the added cost for
Right.
the same amount of waste might
And
be
of course, the
worth it.
more we increase the alternate, the higher the price is going to go. And it might go to there's going to be a tipping point somewhere for everybody, right? Because any extra cost is going to come from the general fund, period, because there is no other money for it to come from. So I would guess that if they don't like it non-organic, they probably won't like it organic, but I mean, this is not, if it ends up being too high, we just go with the lower thing. It's up to you guys.
I guess my thing is, if any student today was like a student like me when I was a kid, I feel like vegetable's a vegetable, fruit's a fruit, and I could spend, I don't know, that's what my opinion is on this one.
Yeah, and I think, what you have to decide is if you really would like to have it be possible for us to consider the upgraded version, like make it feasible financially, then we have to pick very judiciously what we put in that column. Because we don't want everything to be in that column, because it will be unaffordable. And, I don't know what purchase patterns are like in our community. I don't know how many of our families choose organic for themselves, and if it would make a difference. And I would imagine if they did that, they probably bring their own lunch on the regular basis, because they want to know what they're eating, what their ingredients are. And you don't know that in a school lunch, even if we said organic when possible. generally folks who are committed to that, like to know where their food comes from. And so they will not participate in the school lunch program because they don't know that all the time.
So we need a majority, to decide on one of these, right?
Well, you're providing direction, so we're not voting on this. We're just we're trying to gauge.
I'm going to put in that
Yeah.
request.
I was you go first. I was just gonna say, I just don't necessarily want to make a lunch so unaffordable to the point where you wouldn't want to get it, and understanding that the school lunch program is already in deficit spending, as we've learned earlier this year. I wouldn't want to put it in a bigger hole than we would want it to be. So I'm trying to think in that sense as well too. I would love to give every kid the best meal possible. I just don't want to do it in a way that it makes it a burden on the school district, and then ultimately on every student if they can't afford the lunch. That's just my 2 cents on this one.
You don't have to convince me of anything here. I'm just gonna take direction.
Can I just say, side note too, for the salads, is it possible to put the dressing on the side? Because they come already with.
I think so.
They come already with the dressing mixed in, at least by the time the students are in line to pick it up.
I see him say no, but.
Right, so most of our, you're probably speaking of Caesar salad, it does come already pre-mixed. To have it on the side, in our middle schools, we have a squeeze bottle because the kids are older and they can be a little bit more precise with their usage of dressing, not have it all over the place. But that's something we could look into for elementary.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. King.
That would be a production thing unless it's.
Yeah,
It's not,
right.
Ms. King, it's not coming to us that way, right? We're sending it out to the schools that way. It doesn't come pre-dressed from, we're putting it in, the district is doing it.
Yes, I mean, from our central kitchen facility.
Yeah, that's right.
We just give them it in bulk, and then when it gets to the site location, they prepare it on site and they mix it in. And usually, it's really to put it in the cup, the souffle cup, and then you have a lid, then it adds more cost to it. And like in Caesar dressing, doesn't have really a long shelf life once you start opening it up. So then, it attributes to a lot more waste that way. So for convenience and the time, because the kids don't have a lot of time to eat for lunch, it's just prepared the way you described earlier.
Certainly can be also an option be to put less, less is better than more, and that maybe students have the option of going up and requesting more somehow. Maybe that's, I go to restaurants all the time and ask for it on the side because they put too much on. So if maybe we just reduce, this is the quantity for this amount and, not more.
And then sometimes we've looked at even getting a lot of dressings are prepackaged. But in the case of Caesar dressing, then it's a big cost issue. So that's why it's liberally added in.
So maybe just not quite as liberally added.
Yeah, and I think as the fewer prepackaged that we can have, reducing waste, and also having monitored school lunchrooms for years, the less ketchup that you have to open or your fingers are, especially with the littler ones, you do end up opening packages all lunchtime.
Yeah.
Unless I was smart and I brought a little pair of scissors with me to the lunchroom.
Blunt scissors. Okay, so I actually don't have direction yet on this.
I'm willing to forego the organic frozen if it means cutting the costs and to save some of the other things that are recommended.
Okay, so that's the bottom one of the three.
I'll say the other two. I feel like the current program as is okay with me.
Okay. So no change, and
Just
you're
my
nodding
perspective.
as well. So keep the status quo on that, on this section, the vegetable section.
Majority rules?
Yeah, well, I got two on that one. Sorry. This is not me, okay?
What are you trying to change?
I would like to see organic. I understand what,
So the top one, organic mixed green salad or Caesar salad?
yes, but I do understand and take into consideration what President Koo was saying about the whole, our kids gonna eat this anyway. But I wanted to speak to that after this process about our food waste and what we can do about that. And I know it's not necessarily part of this RFP, but it is going to speak to that issue of why are we buying and spending so much more on organic if the students are just gonna throw it away anyway? We don't have to throw it away. There's still all kinds of other hungry, needy people that would.
I'm not sure we can give that out. Yeah.
We're required to serve students a certain portion, and once the students take it, we can't distribute it any other way. I mean, they do have share tables, and they can share it among themselves, but we can't then take that and then give it outside of the district. But there's stuff that is not served, and then I'm not sure that's where the
Not
waste is
sure we
happening.
can. I think we
But the
actually have
waste
to
is
throw it away.
happening more on the side of once they take it. Like they need to have certain amount of fruit, they have to take the way that the school lunch program, the plate that's required, that they have to take it.
So irregardless, we have to toss it?
The students toss it. They toss it. We don't toss it. They said, I don't like that yellow vegetable that was given to me, because you have to have a certain number of yellow vegetables every week.
We can't not give it to them.
We have to give them, over the course of a week, we have to offer certain things, and they need to take one from this section, take one from this section, so.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Otherwise, we would just serve chicken nuggets every day.
And pizza.
Chicken nuggets and pizza, and maybe a burrito. And then that's what we do every 3 days. That's what they'd eat. With no vegetables. Anyway, but we could, I think a lot of what we've done in the past, we've had kids experiment with food and say, try this, here's a persimmon, what do you think it tastes like? Like, you have little tasting tables where it's not part of the offering, and if it's really popular and you've had half the kids try it and taste it and they liked it, the next time you serve, sliced persimmon, they'll be like, oh, that's that really cool vegetable that we taste tested. So I'm gonna take it and eat it. Versus if they've never seen it, they'll take it because they have to take it, but they're not gonna try it.
So I know we had a no shake on this, but I could put a third thing there and say, what if we had all of the vegetables organic as a second alternate, so a third bid, where they then gave that price, and that way, if it is really high, so in other words, we have the basic, then we have alternate one, which is the things that you're choosing now. And then we say alternate two is only organic vegetables, in which case, if we did that, I would recommend that only organic fresh fruit be put in that column too. And then we get 3 sets of prices. That way, if all that, the organic fruits and vegetables really made it like, there's just no way we can afford this because we're going to be paying the difference. You can at least go back to alternate one and go, okay, well, we've got it without the organics. It's not a lot of sweat off my back, and they'll just they'll do their calculations and come up with what they need to charge us for it. It's up to you guys.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that, but would want to actually keep the organic fruit in alternate 1 and not change it to 2.
And,
So what's alternate 2 then at that point?
I'm sorry?
What would alternate 2 be if you did that?
Alternate 2 would be exactly like alternate 1, but we make all the vegetables organic and fresh. You want it and fresh, right? Organic and fresh, or just organic?
Or organic frozen for the non-season.
Just as long as it's organic. Whereas alternate 1 would be, at this point, identical, or should I say, alternate 2 would be identical to alternate 1, except that alternate 2 would have all organic vegetables.
And then it separates it.
Direction, please.
Well, I recommend we do that third option with organic vegetables.
You
Yeah.
recommend, yes.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's why I brought it up, because I
And we
thought that
separate it out that way we
it
know.
might give you that, at least to be able to look at what the cost is and go, okay, I'd like to do it, but I'm not willing to forego, so that you have an idea instead of wondering, what if it was only a couple cents more? I got 2 nods then. Okay, so I've got, that's a majority.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's fine. I think the ones who are not nodding don't care, so.
Right. Okay.
He's lost. Oh, you're lost?
But with this,
You don't have to do it, I'll do it. But I just want to make sure that, that I have another person that's involved with either a yes or a no. With the organic fruit, you want it in both alternates, not just the one alternate. So I've got 1 yes on that too. Okay, all right. So at this point, it's either the current or the organic would be the second alternate. And don't worry about it. I know what I'm thinking here. I got it.
She'll watch the tape.
Yeah, that'll be fun, and I'll be turning it over.
Let's go down to the last category here.
Okay, so now we're at the last one here before we go back, and so it's dairy. And really, the only difference here is organic or not organic. It's about 3 times the price for organic.
And that is served on a daily basis.
And
The
everybody
milk.
has to take some.
Everyone has to take.
It's not, and it's like
there's a lot of empty
breakfast
cartons.
and lunch.
There's a lot of cartons that are left over, right? Yeah. I definitely would just keep it how it is.
Keep it as is, okay. All right. So I've got everything except for the one we were going back to, which is on page 2.
Sorry, Ms. Kessler, there's no way to add any non-dairy alternatives to that
Well,
because of
okay, so the
commodities.
thing with non-dairy is that it is not compliant with a reimbursable meal. The only way we can give non-dairy and get money from the government is like a soy or a nut milk, is if there's an allergy or an intolerance with a doctor's note. Then we can get a reimbursement. And we would offer that. We would give that to anybody who, we'd give an alternate milk if they have an allergy to it.
And I think we just need to do a better job of promoting that option, because I do know that we do have quite a few of lactose intolerant students and adults.
Could we?
So I think we can do a better job of that, and asking families to make sure that their physicians present the school with a note that says they require a non-dairy beverage.
Can we choose that beverage to be organic?
Probably that, I mean, because I think a lot of these are shelf
Shelf safe. Especially the non-dairies,
But
they don't require refrigeration.
Can't say for sure. That might be a Miss King question, but I'm not sure she can answer that either.
But she wants to know, can we specify that we would like a non-dairy?
Yeah.
That the vendor
That it
will
be
tell
organic,
us. Yeah, sorry,
especially if
an
it's
organic
soy.
non-dairy.
Oh, an organic non-dairy? Is that-
Yes.
I think we can,
specify.
because I think it's available in the marketplace, so we
And-
can say.
And so that would be in the alternate, yeah, an organic non-dairy.
For our allergy students.
I'm sorry?
For the students with the
Oh, yeah, yeah,
allergies.
of course.
For the
Yes.
students with allergies only, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
That was a good one. I only drink almonds.
We do actually on the daily try to offer a non-dairy option for students to select from every day.
I think we actually do offer
We
it.
do, yeah, we've redesigned our menu so that
There is a non-dairy.
there's a way for a student to navigate through the lunch menu without encountering dairy. So, because we do have quite a few who prefer that. So, and you know, a yogurt parfait is like not a happy thing for students who are allergic to the dairy. They can't have that much. So, anyway, but we do try, for the meal parts, we do try to make it so there's an option for somebody to select non-dairy. But for the beverage, we haven't, I didn't know that we had that option, so now we do. We'll make sure that we let families know.
Okay,
And
so page
On that
2.
note, how
Oh, I'm
well
sorry.
publicized is, because I was surprised to see that we have a no pork policy. So is that like, if they see a
Oh,
pepperoni
you can bring
pizza?
that back in too. I'm
Well,
glad
I'm just
that you
saying,
brought
if
that
they
up.
say if they see a pepperoni pizza, do
It's
they
not
know that
pepperoni.
It'll
that's?
say beef pepperoni.
It'll
Yeah.
say it on
And I
there?
think the families who do not partake of pork, they all know that our lunches,
That they're all.
that they're all
Okay,
pork-free.
Great.
We used to offer, like with dairy, a non-pork, a way to get through the menu, but there's so many folks who just, they don't, and they don't want food that's been prepared next to, or, with, so we just, it's easy to get non-pork. Yeah.
Great.
So back to page 2, we were up on the 2.1 ounce beef patty as opposed to, that was the one, right? As opposed to that's the one we're revisiting, as opposed to the 3 ounce beef patty.
They're gonna eat that.
What did you guys say?
Yeah, they're gonna eat that burger, all right?
They're going to eat the burger?
They're gonna eat
So
We can give them more. You said, middle schoolers, they're hungry. I can vouch for that. They're always still hungry even after they eat, so.
So you want the 3 ounce?
I do, yeah.
Okay. It doesn't matter.
Where's the beef?
Okay.
Let's go.
All right, so I've got my papers here. And then I just wanted to review with you the evaluation team that we're recommending. Moi, of course. Miss King.
Okay.
One staff member from the Wellness Committee, one parent, and one board member. That's our recommendation. That's 5 people to evaluate. And of course, the evaluation process has to follow what's in the RFP, which is highly regulated. But it will be there and it'll be very clear what kind of points they'll get for cost, what kind of points they get for experience, and what kind of points they get for that everything is there. That's a real obvious one. Did you bring everything did you include everything you're supposed to include? So that is our recommendation for the evaluation team. And then you guys can choose which board member it would be.
We do that now?
We'd probably do that at the reorganization meeting when we select board members for different committees. We'd add that to
What day is that?
the December meeting is when if we have time. Sometimes we do it in January, but this is not happening until March.
No, that's not right, is it?
It is. You kept going. We kept going for 45 minutes on that. Okay? We kept going for quite a bit on this.
It was very organic, the conversation.
It was an organic conversation. Yeah.
Very.
Okay.
Well, look, it's you either put the time up front, or you put 10 times as much time in back and maybe you have to redo. And there have been districts that had to go out and redo. We don't want that, because then you have to get like a special permission for a small period of time to stay with somebody or do whatever. Okay.
So I noticed it's an action item. What action would we?
So the action is the composition of the evaluation team, not
Oh,
the
okay.
selection of the members, but just, what are the categories that we have. So the ones that Ms. Kessler said, the chief business official, the manager of food service, the kitchen facility, central kitchen, a staff member on the wellness committee, a parent, and a board member.
I think that's a good recommendation, but is that committee just making a recommendation, or, I guess what I'm asking, will the rest of the board be able to taste any food before the final decision
We're
is
not
made?
doing a food taste.
Okay, so then that answers that question.
That's not our intent.
Well, I guess I still have the
Because-
question, though.
So
will
this
we be-
committee evaluates the RFPs according to the rubric and the criteria that the state has. In the past, there were some taste tests, but that's when the process was much looser.
Okay, so that's.
And if the committee certainly feels strongly that they want a taste test, and then we can look into that, but I'm not sure how we evaluate that.
I just see a possible issue if one board member is involved in this. It could be a possible issue that another
Do you want
board
two or
member-
none, or what?
Well, I guess two might be a better recommendation then, yes.
I guess, do you need an odd number then at that point?
I'm sorry?
Can you have 6, or do you need like an odd number?
This is a district-specific decision.
Oh, okay.
The state would be happy, they're happy if we have 5, 6, that's, they just don't want it to be one person, really. I think they want it to be evaluated.
In the event that we are at a stalemate, we need one designated
Well,
person.
That's not how it works. It's
Oh.
not voting. It's rating on the rubric, and then you add up the points.
Like this vendor has 93 points, this vendor has 78 points, this vendor has 65.
And it goes by that.
It goes by that. So the board can't necessarily disagree with that. There's a broad stakeholder group, and I think, in deciding who the stakeholders are who make that determination, that's the important decision right now.
So I think
So
that I
if
would,
you want 2 board members, then I think we can add
we
that.
could even say up to 2 board members.
Up to 2?
Okay.
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah.
I make a motion to amend the composition of the evaluation team to include 2 board members. Up to 2 board members, along with Ms. King, staff from Wellness Committee, a parent, and Ms. Kessler.
Second.
First, second, all those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you.
Next item is item 14A, Board Governance Matters, First Amendment to the 2018 Superintendent Employment Agreement. The Governing Board will consider amending the 2018 Superintendent Employment Agreement by extending the term of the 2018 agreement an additional year to June 30th, 2023.
Yeah, so as part of my employment agreement, it says when I receive an overall satisfactory evaluation, that this is an item that comes on the subsequent meeting to extend the term by 1 year.
I move that we extend the term of the superintendent's employment agreement to add an additional year to June 30th, 2023.
Second.
First, second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That was unanimous. Next is governance team member comments, reports, and board meeting reflection. Any reflections? Comments?
I focused on keeping our focus on the best interests of our students, and just want to reiterate the praise that we gave to the artists earlier and the Lions Club for not only the poster contest, but the vision screening.
I chose the same. Reiterating Board Member Ali's comments about the students who came earlier, and also I know that we're not allowed to discuss, but definitely keeping front of mind some of the other comments that were made for things not on the agenda, so focusing on the best interest of our students.
For me, I selected we will listen actively and communicate openly. So lastly is adjournment. We are asking for a moment of silence and adjourning memory of two individuals. First is Natty Fong. She was a Jefferson Elementary School District employee from 1999 to 2003 at John F. Kennedy Elementary School and at the district office. She was a member of the PTA since 1988, served as PTA president of JFK from 1990 to 1992, Jefferson Council PTA Council President for the Jefferson Elementary School District and Jefferson Union High School District from 1992 to 1994, as well as the 17th District PTA President for San Mateo County from 1999 to 2001. Ms. Fong also served on the Board of Managers of the California State PTA from 1999 to 2003, and since then, Ms. Fong dedicated her time working at the council level of the Jefferson Council PTA, serving in a variety of board positions, including president and vice president. Additionally, we also enclose memory of Maribel Orhalo, as a former food services assistant at MP Brown Elementary School from 2012 to 2019, and is a parent at Fernando Rivera Intermediate School. So I'd like to ask for a moment of silence in their honor. Thank you.